Welcome back, everyone. Warm wishes to all present in the class. So, Spring security is what we are seeing in the last class. I hope I am audible to everyone in the class. Yes, no, maybe. Thank you for the acknowledgement. Great. So, yesterday we have understood the default system once we add Spring security dependency. By default, it is giving you a form login and how to access the resources using Postman tool or using the form we have seen. And also I had told behind the scene, some filters are being used, some predefined classes or the interfaces are being used, which are generating the default username and password, which are collecting from the user, which are doing the verification, filtration before giving access to you. And by default, it is implemented to all the resources of the application. That also we have understood in the yesterday's class. And also we have seen every time you visit application for the first time, it is generating one session ID, and as long as that is valid, it is able to give you access to all other resources without the credentials. If not, you have to give the credentials. That also we have understood, right? Now, all our REST API methods are binded to either GET request or they're binded to POST request, PUT request, or DELETE request. Out of all the HTTP requests, which one is most safest, which will not create any problem in the server side, guys, which will not have any major impact in the server side? It is the GET request. GET request will just give the information server side, whatever application you have, new resources it will not add, it will not edit, it will not delete, right? Apart from this, all other will make any impact to the backend application. Post will add a new resource, new data. Put will edit, delete will delete the resource. So some of the other will have something to do at the backend. Get is just getting the information. It will not do something in the backend. All of you agree on this? Yes, no, maybe? Great. I would like to go back to the application which we had developed. And I'm going to accept some type of data. Right now, all of them are binded to this, but we do have this data, which is binded to post mapping. Right, every one of you? And here also, if you want, you can get access to HTTP request if you want. You have a same session ID. Here also, if you want, you can just check the session ID and see what is happening. But however, I would like to just go back, deploy this application, right click, run as Java application.
Sorry, there was a problem with Apple Music. You'll need to log into your music account again to start.
My application is deployed. I'll go back to my Postman tool, and I had given one fixed username and password, guys. It was auto generating. The default username is user and the password was auto generated. I had given my own username and password, alien Telesco at the rate 123. That's the username. Okay. Let me open the Postman tool. I would like to open again. Let me just get it here. Okay. I'll say get more information, guys. Username and password I'm giving. I'm able to get last is A18B1. I'll say get info. Same session ID. You can see here. No issues. I will say here get aliens. Get aliens. See, I'm getting it. Now I would like to add one resource, for which I'll go to the post mapping, guys. And maybe I'll say here 5. And I would like to just add some data. Okay. I would like to go back, body, and authorization I have not given, guys. First of all, without auth, it should not work. If I have to send this request, see unauthorized, for which I'll go to authorized. I'll say basic auth. I'll give the username, basic auth. What is the username, guys? Alien. What is the password? That is squad rate 123. And now I'm sending this. Still, it is unauthorized. Are you able to observe this? Yes, no, maybe. All of you present in the class, are you able to get that? But other get resources, are you able to access with the same session ID? Why this is happening? Behind the scene, by default, CSRF is implemented. What is that, if you ask me? Cross-site request forgery. Cross-site request forgery, by default, it is being added. It is being implemented. Everyone in the class, what do you mean by that? Yesterday, I have told you that whenever a client is making a request, this is our client, making a request to the application, to our backend application, which is our server. And for the first request, you have to give the username and password. Based on this, one session ID is generated and it will be given back to the application. In the cookies, session ID is being stored. What if some malicious application, a legendary application, will go and try to get your session ID, and they will pass the session ID here. Session ID here. Because of which, since it has the same session ID, what if it will allow it also to access the resources? Suppose if it is just a get request, maybe not that much problem. But if it is a post request or update request or delete request, which will delete some important resources, which will add some unnecessary resource, which will update some important resources, is it acceptable? Not acceptable. Even though same strict option is available, still it has made an arrangement that it will not allow that. So what I'm trying to say is, session ID same, with the help of same session ID, you can access any number of get resources. But for the resources which are binded with post request, put request and delete request, session ID it will not even accept. Even though if it is the same session ID, by considering this scenario, by default, Spring Security has been implemented in a way that whatever session ID you provide, even if it is the same session ID, whether it's the same valid client or invalid client, for the post, put or delete resources, it will not allow. Then what to do? It will generate every time you visit the application, it will generate CSRF token behind the scene. That will be given to you in a way that cannot be accessed by anyone. And apart from the username or password, or apart from the session ID, for the post, put and delete resources to access, you have to pass CSRF token. Only then you'll be able to access the resources which are binded with post, put and delete. Are you all getting, guys? Everyone in the class? You have seen here, guys, with one login, was I able to access every resource? No problem, right? Did it create any problem? Any problem? Was there any problem there? No problem. I hope you are able to understand this. I'll go back to my resource. See, username and password is asking me. It is alien. I will say Talisco@123. I'm able to get the resources. Everyone in the class? Yes, no, maybe. Anyone has any issues here, guys? No issues? I'll try if I could also show you this part also. Where is this? That behind the scene, that CSRF token is also getting allocated. Okay. Anyway, I will show it later sometime. But for every time you're making a request behind the scene, one CSRF token is also getting. No, Prakash. Nothing as such. So, my dear friends, with the help of one session ID, can you access all the resources which are binded to GET request without any problem? What is your understanding on this? Just to have a proper conclusion or summary of every step we are taking here. Can you pass with the help of session ID itself? Can you access the resources which are binded to post mapping, get mapping, or post, put, or delete mapping, guys? Can you access the resources? What is that we may have to pass? CSRF token. But where we will get CSRF token? Behind the scene, already CSRF token is getting generated, guys. But where we are getting it? For that purpose, what I'm going to do is, I will write here, public. I'll say CSRF token. Every time you're making a request behind the scene, this is getting generated. But I will get hold of this and give to the end user. Only the client will have that CSRF token. I'll say get. And as normal, I will, if you want to access any of the session IDs or anything, you may have to have a hold of this. I will get hold of this. Okay. I would like to just import. I'm importing. Now I'm just going to say here, return request dot get attribute. I have to just give the attribute name. The name behind the scene, it is a CSRF ID is getting generated is underscore CSRF. This is the name of that key which is generated internally. I would like to add the cast to it. Done. Now I will just bind this request to get mapping, and I would like to just pass here CSRF. Maybe whatever is the endpoint you want, you can pass it. And I would like to save this. It is saved. I would like to stop this resource, and I would like to just redeploy the application. Yes, Madhu. I would like to go back and guys, get aliens. I'm trying to access. No problem. I will say here, get info. I'm trying to access. No problem. You are not required to pass the CSRF token. But if you try to access a post request by adding some resources, see, I'm adding a new resource. And if I just have to go here, see, it is unauthorized. You have to pass the CSRF token. How to get the CSRF token? If you ask me, I have created one endpoint for the same. I will say CSRF. I will hit this endpoint and I'm getting this, which you can see here. This is the token. And what I need to do here is I'll copy this token from here. Before I copy, I'll go back to the post request. There is something called as headers. I'll go to the headers. I will add a new header here. What should be the header name? It is only giving you can see here. This should be name of the header. I would like to copy the name of the header from here. Go back here. I would like to add it. Then go back here. Go back here. Copy. Add it here. Now I'm passing the CSRF token, guys. I'm passing the body with the ID number 5. If I pass it, see it is okay. Are you able to get okay here? And now if you want, you can just access also. I will say here, get aliens. See, whatever extra details we had passed, Pune, we are able to get that. Are you all able to get this? Yes, no, maybe. Everyone in the class? But is it the way to have a security? The answer is no. There are better ways which we can do here. What are those better ways? I will talk on this. But so far, how we are dealing with, have you all understood, guys? Wherever we have reached so far? Everyone in the class? Now this is the one-time generator. One time. Now, guys, to avoid all this cross-site forgery or this session ID problem which anyone can access, right now, all the HTTP requests which are there by default, they are stateful. Let's make it stateless. What is stateful? What is stateless? Can anyone tell me? Stateful means what? Stateless means what? Anyone in the class? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe. No, Aditya. Can recognize the request from the same client. Very good answer, Zara. Request and response can be processed independently. My dear friends, stateful means it will remember client information at the server. That means for the first time if you visit, it will remember. For the second time if you try to visit, the application is aware you are the same user who had visited earlier. And every time you visit, it will understand that, oh, it is the same user who is coming back to me again and again. Right? For the first time, if you go to any of the building or tech park or any of where, the security guy will ask you so many things. After you give the information, if the resident allows you, he will allow you to get into this. After which, same day, if you come multiple times inside the building and go out, the security guy will not ask you any question. That is stateful. Stateless means for the first time you visit, it will give you the authority. For the second time if you visit, it will forget that you are the one who had visited earlier also. It will not recall your information. Every request will be considered as the new request. For the second time if you come, he will ask, who are you? I don't know you. I have never seen you in my life. Third time, who are you again? That means every request coming to be application, whether it is from the same user or from the different user, doesn't matter. It will consider every request as a new request. It is not able to recall whether you have visited earlier or not. Understanding the difference between stateful and stateless, dear friends? Ghazni issues, you can say, Chavan. All of you. Now, if I make my application stateless, the concept of the CSRF or the session ID, will it come into picture, guys? Do you think every request will be considered as a new request? And if every request is considered as a new request, then no one can copy our session ID and try to enter. You need not to have this CSRF token to access other resources. All this will not come into picture, right? Now, so far, whatever we have discussed is, it is the default configuration of Spring Security. From the point of Spring Security, if you look at the application, apart from adding the dependency, did we do anything extra, guys, which is related to the Spring Security? Apart from adding the dependency, anything extra did we added here? That means, so far, whatever we have seen till now is the default ecosystem at which Spring Security dependency is working. Are you all getting it? Everyone? Now, I want this default security system to be working, and as per the top 10 OAS security risk also, that you should not be dependent on the default security system, because everyone is aware at how it will work. You have to give your own configuration. Whenever there are anything which you are using, you should not be dependent on the default system, which you can see here. Yesterday we were trying to understand the top 10 also. I don't know which site it was. Yep. Security misconfiguration. It says that don't use the default securities which are already there. You have to add your own thing. Okay. If not, it will be a problematic. I would like to go back here. Now what I have to do here is, I have to disturb the existing security. That means whatever behind the scene the code is working, because of which the form is getting generated, the session ID is getting created, the application is becoming stateful, and the CSRF token is getting generated. All these things are happening behind the scene because some predefined code is working. For everything, even if you want to store a variable in Java, you have to write a code, right? And if these things are happening, that means lot of code is being working in the backend, because of which this behavior of Spring Security is working. And I want to disturb this existing behavior. So whatever classes are being used behind the scene, because of which this way the application behaving, I want to disturb that behavior. And that is what I want to achieve right now. All good, everyone in the class? Now I would like to just do one thing. I'll go back and I will develop one application where I will disturb the existing behavior on which it is working, and I'll give my own configuration. I'll disable the CSRF token itself. I'll make my application stateless. If it is stateless, and if I disable the CSRF token, then you can access any resource. For every resource, you may have to pass only username and password itself, not more than that. Okay. I would like to go back here, Spring Initializer, and I would like to just do one thing. I will say here, com dot telescope. I would like to go back and say here, security project number 02. Or maybe existing project first. I will make some changes, and then I will go for the database part in the next project. Okay. I'll go back here. I'll open the same. All right. Now I would like to create one package, guys. I'll say new, create one package. Name of the package is configuration. And this configuration, we are changing the existing behavior. That means Whatever predefined classes are already in work, I want to modify that. And configurations are always one time setup, guys. You will not be doing it very often. So don't unnecessarily consider this as something very difficult. For the first time, if you do anything, it looks difficult because of the predefined classes and methods which you're using for the first time. But if you try to understand the process, it will make more sense. Right now, the agenda is the first thing which you need to understand is I want to disturb the existing behavior on which Spring Security is working. I don't want that form to be there. Whatever the form which was already generated right by default, I want to disable that. I want to disable CSRF token. I want to make my entire application stateless. The concept of CSRF token, the session ID, all of that only should not be there. Right? So now I would like to go back here. I'll say right click, create a class, configuration class. And I'll say here, name of the class, anything. I'll say here security configuration. Security configuration. At the top of this, as all of you know by default, first part is I would like to go here and say, sorry guys, configuration. That's the first part. After which you may have to use one more annotation here. Name of the annotation is enable web security. This configuration class has the logic for the security of your APIs. That's the meaning of it. Enable the web security. Now, behind the scene, whatever class is being used by default, I want to disturb that class. I want to use that class here. For which I'll go here. I'll say public security filter chain. Whatever is the method name, maybe method name I'll give tab security filter. Whatever filters are being used already behind the scene, I am going to just disturb that. Okay. I'll get hold of public. All right. I would like to import this. I'll get hold of HTTP security. HTTP security. Type HTTP. It is done. After which I will just say here HTTP dot build. HTTP dot build. You have to implement the default security. Of course, it is an exception, I guess. Add throws. That's fine. I would like to save it. I would like to also import. All the imports are being done. And after which I'll hand over this entire default security filter chain to my Spring. If I hand over this, will it use the predefined code which is there, or will it use a new code of security which I have handed over? What will happen in this case, guys? It is asking me add the return statement. I will just take here and say return. Okay, done. Now, guys, I have disturbed the existing security behavior. If I have disturbed the existing security behavior, let me run and show you. If I have to go back and run this application, guys, I have deployed the application. I'll go back to my browser first. If I go back to the browser first, please see, guys. I have told get aliens. Am I able to get the aliens? Have you got any security form here, guys? I will say here get info. See, I'm getting the information. I'm telling here, what do you say? Get more info. I'm getting this more information here. So, am I able to breach the existing behavior of Spring Security? See here, I'll go to any of the resources. I'll go to the post. I need not to pass the CSRF token. Not needed. I'll pass the body. Authorization, this is not even needed. I will go here, I'll say no auth. If I just send this, is it able to, oh, it is forbidden because of the other reasons. I have to disable the CSRF token right now. The CSRF token is still there. I have to disable that. We will disable it because that's the default behavior at which application is working. But is it asking the username and password to access any of the resources, guys? Are you getting the form or anything? Are you all getting it? Now, two ways you can implement this configuration. Excuse me, please. Allow me a minute, guys. Excuse me. Yeah. Maybe no, there's no database, so it should not be a matter of concern, Suresh. And we are not using map here; we are using collection, so it should not be a problem. That is not the reason for it. CSRF token is still there. That's how the behavior it is working on. So now what I'm going to do here, guys, I'll disturb. There are two ways. Normal way, like the way we have done, are using the lambda expression and method chaining. I would like to go with the lambda expression, lambda way of writing the configuration. If you're not okay with it, you can go with the normal way also, where you are invoking method, it will give you a return type. Using the return type again you're invoking one more method, it will give you a return type. Using that object, again you're invoking one more method. Like this, you can do it. Like the way we have done, right? REST template and web client. You have seen both the ways, right? Something similar here also I'm going to do it. So what I'm going to do here is, please see, guys. First thing is I'll disable the CSRF token part. I'll say http dot CSRF. Earlier in Spring Security 5, we used to invoke this method, which used to give you an object. Using this object, we used to invoke one method called as disable. Right now, we have one method which is not deprecated, which we can give the implementation of CSRF configurer interface, which is a functional interface. I would like to invoke this, and inside this, I will say customizer is a reference variable. Customizer, see, it is expecting me to give the implementation for customizer interface. I'll give the implementation for the customizer interface by using the lambda expression. Parameters required, lambda operator, and the body of the method. Body of the method, I'll say here, customizer is a reference variable I've created. Customizer dot, whatever you want to do with it. I'll say disable. It is disabled. Now CSRF token will not be generated. CSRF token will not be generated. Done. After which, I'll go back and I'll say here, if you want to have a form, then you can write this http dot. We have something called as form login. Earlier it was there. It is deprecated now. We have form login right now. Again, you have to give the implementation for the customizer itself. I will just say here, see, customizer form logic is what you have to pass here. So I would like to just take the object of customizer. I will say here, customizer. Okay, customizer dot. There is a static method called as with defaults. That means now form will be available. What was the form which was disabled, right? When I have disturbed this, it was disabled. We were not able to get. After you add this code, now form will be available. I don't want to have a form. If you don't want to have, you just comment it. I don't want to go with the Postman tool and the pop-up form login, not the separate form. So I have disabled that. I want to enable people can access from the any other resource apart from the browser. They can access from the Postman tools and others, for which you have to enable this. I'll say http dot http basic, and I will just say here customizer dot. There is a predefined method customizer object dot with defaults. That means I'm enabling access to my application from the Postman tool also. Any other resources also they can access. And now I would like to just go back here. If you want, you can access now, guys. This is being written, right? And apart from this, okay. I would like to go back here. Now I will say HTTP dot session management. Earlier we used to use this. Now we have an option of session management. I would like to take this. I have to give the implementation. I will create the reference of session. I have to give the implementation for a customizer by using the lambda expression. I will give it lambda operator, parameters required, lambda operator, the body. I will say here session dot. I would like to say here session dot session. Okay, I have to see a session dot. Many methods are there. Which method? Session dot creation policy. And now I would like to say here session creation policy dot session creation policy dot. I'll make it stateless. Are you able to see this? Yes, no, maybe. All of you present in the class. Now, if I made stateless, every request will be considered as a old, or every request is considered as a new request. Doesn't matter whether it is the same user or a different user. Are you all getting it? Yes, no, maybe. I would like to save this, guys. After saving, I would like to deploy my application. Run as the Java application. The application is deployed. I would like to go back to my Postman tool. Now, guys, get aliens. I'm passing this. I'm able to get it. I will say get info. I'm passing. I'm able to get this. Guys, please see here. 907 is the last session ID. I will say here get more info. See here 9NAF. Is the session ID same or different? Is it same session ID or different? Different session ID. That means the application is now stateless or stateful. It is stateless. So even if someone copies the session ID from my cookies, will they be able to access any of the resources from the application, guys? No. Is there any possibility of cross-site request forgery? The entire possibility of cross-site request forgery was only gone case. That I have already disturbed. I'll go back to the post request. I'll try to add this, guys. And you can see I have not passing anything here. Be no auth or auth. I'll pass it for now. I'll go back and say basic auth. And see header, I'm not passing CSRF token. I'm not passing any CSRF token here. I'm passing some body. To have a differentiation factor, I'll say 6. I'll say here Ramesh. Okay. I would like to hit this. See, guys, it is okay right now. And if I have to go and get these aliens, it's every request is a new request. Okay. But anyway, see, guys, it is okay. Are you able to see here? Okay. That means things are working fine as per the expectation. Yes or no? And you can see on your console, guys, ID number 6, Ramesh is also being added. Because the moment I am adding, I'm printing it. So now, did I disturb the existing behavior, guys? Form is gone. Form deleted. CSRF token generation gone. I have made the application which was stateful to stateless. So 3 parameters of the default configuration I have disturbed, and I have given my own configurations. So far, so good. How we are leading this discussion to everyone in the class? Now, guys, it is by default taking the application from here, username from here, password from here, and it is doing the verification. I now want it to take the username and password from whatever I have given here. Because here I am adding only one username and one password. For whole of the application, we have only one username and password, and this is not the case in the real time. Everyone do agree with me? And I want to disturb this existing behavior. I want to disturb this existing behavior, and I want to give the multiple users and password. Two options are there. If you want to give specific 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 users, you can hard code also, or you can connect to database. Whoever is doing the registration from the database, it should take the username and password and it should verify whether it is a valid user or not. Right now, only single, and by default, it is considering from the application.properties. And I will disturb that. Behind the scene, what is getting used, if you ask me, it is user detail service. User detail service is the interface. Implementation of user detail service is being used, which is taking the username and password from the application.properties and doing the authentication. And I want to disturb that, for which I will create the instance of this. I'll say user details service. Type, maybe I'll say here user details. User details. And now, guys, if I have to open this, you can say right click. Okay, let me hand over this to Spring, guys. If you want to hand over to Spring, then I'll say Spring Bean. I'll open the declaration. It is in the interface. There are many implementing classes, guys, for this, and I have to use some of them. But for now, to start with, I'll not be connecting to database and all. So what I'm going to do here is I will say here user details type user equals to I will say here user dot with defaults. User dot we have with default password encoder with user details is there. Okay, with user name is there. I will use these methods, guys. I'm going to use these methods for the verification with respect to database. I would like to go with the default password encoder, which will give you user builder object. I would like to import that. And now what I'm going to do here is, please see very carefully. Change the type to user builder. All right. Okay, let me just go back here and try to get access of this, guys. I'll say here user dot directly builder, it is there. But before building something, I want it to work with the default password encoders. Whatever default behavior is there, I'll say dot username. I'll hard code the username right now, guys. Next application, I will connect to database and I'll do the verification. Okay, let's not make it more complex. First itself, I will hard code the user. Maybe the user is, for an example, Vishal. Vishal is the user. I will say dot password. I will give the password as maybe Telesco1 is the password. I will say a dot. What is the role of Vishal? The role of the Vishal is maybe user. He's the user. He's the user. I would like to just go back here. I would like to add the password. I would like to add the role. And now I will build one user object. I'll say dot build. See, the return type is user details, which is the implementation. I would like to go back here and I'll say user. I would like to add the variable user details. Now one user is available with the role. I would like to create one more user. I would like to create the one more user. And now user number, maybe I'll say here 2, or maybe I'll give it as admin role. Okay, let's have this one more role, admin. Admin is, for example, I'll go with Rohan. The let's code 2 is the password. And I will say here the role is admin. And I'll say build. It has been built. After which I'll go back here and say new. One object is there, which is implementation of this interface. Name of the object. There are many objects based on what you go. I'll go with in memory user details manager. If I have to open with this class, guys, if I have to open this class, let me import first. After importing, I'll go back, right click, open this declaration. It is a class which is implementing user details. Okay. And you can see, guys, we have where args also, we have collection also. So you can pass any number of users here. Where args means you can pass any number of users. I'll go back here. In the constructor, I will pass user. I will pass user. I will pass admin. You can pass how much ever users you want. But if you hard code, how many you can hard code, guys? Maximum 4, 5, 10, 20. Can you hard code 100 users like this? In the real time scenario, will it work? Can you hard code some 200 users? No, right? So I'm just hard coding only 2 users just to start the journey of giving access to multiple users, giving access to our resources to multiple users, more than one user. Right now, the default behavior behind the scene, it was implementing and it was taking the details from application.properties. And this one user only could able to do it. But right now, I have added multiple users. One is Vishal Tarisko 1, 2 is Rohan Tarisko 2. And you can add multiple. If you want, you can create one more and add this. It is a var ars. You can create one more, add this, create one more, add this. You can add 100 also. But hard coding, it will not look realistic. I would like to just stop this. I would like to save this. Add the return statement. I would like to say here, return this object. Implementation object I am returning, guys. I'll save this. And now I would like to deploy. Now, am I disturbing the default behavior, guys, even for the username and password? Yes, we could able to do that. Right now, if I go to Postman tool, get request. If I pass alien and Tarisko 1, 2, 3, will it work? See, guys, unauthorized. Are you all able to see? But in place of alien, if I give Vishal, I'll say Vishal. I'll say Talisko 1. Am I able to get this? I'll say info. One more resource I'm trying to access. See? I'll go this time with maybe Rohan and Talisko 2. I'm able to get it. See? I'm able to get this information. All of you present, are you able to see this? Just to summarize everyone in the class, if you are focusing, earlier we had added one Spring security dependency. The moment to happen, it used to generate a default username. What is a default username? It is user. It used to auto generate one default password, static password, which we had to enter. Right? And it used to do the authentication by itself. Later, we changed the username, which is again static. We have hard coded one user for the entire application. Correct? And internally, the implementation of user detail service was there, which is implemented by Spring Security itself, the team who developed this entire module. And they used to take the details from the application properties and they used to do the authentication. And now later what I have done is, first of all, I have disturbed the default configurations of Spring Security. Behind the scene, the implementation of security filter chain was happening. I have disturbed that. I have disabled the CSRF token. I have disabled the form. I have allowed people can access from any other resources apart from the browser. I have made the entire application stateless. After doing that, I have also disturbed the user detail service. Now it will not take the details which are there in the application.properties or YAML file for the authentication. Rather, I have given my own user detail implementation. It will take from here and it will do the verification. Now, are we able to access the resources by multiple, end users, guys? Multiple end users, are they able to access the resources? Yes. So now we have disturbed the existing behavior at which it was working. Fine, everyone? Yes, no, maybe? But this is also not much realistic. The more realistic will be to get the data from the database and do the need for us, for which I will take this project, guys, whatever project we had developed already, security project 1. I would like to take this. I would like to recreate this. Okay, let me create this project and recreate it. Project number 2. Since I want to enable multi-user, multiple users can access our application, that means the concept of databases also comes into picture. So any databases you can use. I want to use MySQL, and for which you may have to add the dependency in the pom.xml. I'll go back to any of the previous application, guys. Any of the previous application. I will add those dependencies here. MySQL dependency and data JPA dependency. Okay. So data JPA dependency I have to add. Why I'm adding? Because this time I don't want to hard code multiple users. The multiple users authentication should happen by considering the data from the database, not by hard coding the values. Okay. I would like to take this, go back here, add the dependency. I have added this dependency. Okay. And I'll go back here, add MySQL also connector. MySQL connector is needed. Let me add that also here. I would like to save this. After saving, of course, I may have to update my POM. I'll say right click. Right click. After right clicking it, I'll say Maven. Update the project. I'll say update. The project is updated. Now, guys, whatever code, hard coding here for the users, this code, I want to give implementation in different way. This implementation is holds good for only these two users. And I want this to be there for the users which are there in our database. Getting it, everyone? If all of you are there with me right now, yes, no, maybe. All of you are there. So I'll do one thing, guys. I will create one entity class here. I'll go back and create one package, right click, new. First entity part I'm keeping it ready, guys. I'll say a dot entity class. I would like to save this, refresh. I'll go back here, right click. Whatever is the name of the class you want, you can give. I'll give it as maybe users. Okay. I would like to just go back here and say entity, and I'll have two things here. Maybe I'll say here private, whatever, how much ever you want, you can have, but I would like to take these three things. I'll say private string type of password. Okay. And this name, it's not relevant to give name as the ID. We can have multiple names. You can give ID also, not a problem. But I will give like this. Okay. If you want, you can have a separate ID also. That should not be a problem, guys. So it should not be a matter of concern. You can give ID only, and you can give the name and all. That can be done. If you want, you can add that also. Not at all a problem. Fine, huh? Everyone, I have done like this. I'll go back here and I'll say right click. I'll say source. I will say generate the setters and getters. I will say source, generate constructors using fields, generate the constructors using the superclass, and have a toString method. My entity class is ready. Or else you can do one thing, you can have ID also, not a problem. I'll say private integer type of ID, integer type of ID, and you can have ID as the unique key. It's up to you what you want. Having this, having not no not having this, nowhere related to Spring Security, guys. I hope all of you are understanding this. It is my choice to have only simple two things. If you want, you can have multiple also. Everyone in the class, yes, no, maybe. I would like to go back and create the repository part. Right click, create one package for the repository layer. I would like to go and create one interface here. And the name of the interface, I'll give it as I user repository. It must extend, I'll say JPA. Let's go with JPA only. And I would like to say here users. And of course, we have not given integer type. We have given string type. I would like to give string type. Implement it. Done. Fine, no? All present in the class. I would like to go back here. I will say find by. I'm writing custom method, guys, because ID is not number here. ID is name. So I will write the custom finder method find by. The variable name is name. I would like to give here type of username. It will give you the entire user's details. I would like to collect it here. I would like to import it. Done. Saved. No problem. Custom finder method is what I have written. And I hope no one has any problem with this in the custom finder method. No problem, dear friends. All good so far? Yes, no, maybe. Great. Now I would like to just go back to my Spring Security. And before that, I may have to add a few application.properties also, which I would like to add it. I'll take it from here because we are connecting to database and all, guys. I would like to take it from here. Go back to the sources I have added here. This has no value now. Even if you comment, it should not be creating any problem. I would like to comment this because it is not taking anything from here. So you need not to have it. Yeah. I would like to save this. I have added this. I have added this Spring Security config. Now, the way I have implemented user detail service should be like this. No, it should not be like this right now. I would like to comment this. Why I'm commenting this? Because I want it to do the authentication by considering the DAO layer, by considering the details which are there in the table of our database. The authentication should not be done by using the values which are there in the application.properties. It should not be done by the values which are there, hard-coded values. It should not be done by this. Then it should be done by considering the values which are there. So for which you have to get hold of authentication provider object. You should get hold of what? Authentication provider object. I would like to go back here. I would like to write this, guys. I'll say public authentication provider. How you want to do the authentication? That I am going to write here. I'll say authentication provider is the method name. How the authentication has to be done, that information I have to write here. I would like to go at the top of this class and I will say here B. There are many implementations, guys, for this particular. It is an interface. If I have to show you, right click, open the, see, it is an interface. Many implementing classes are there. How you want to go with the authentication is what you have to mention here. I want this time to connect to the database, get the details which are there in the tables, and then do the authentication. For which we have something called as DAO authentication provider. DAO means connecting to database and getting the information. I'll say DAO authentication provider. I would like to implement this. And now I would like to just go back here and write here DAO authentication provider. And let's have implementation. It's done. And now I will say here return the DAO provider. Done. That means I have told here, look, this time no hardcode values. I want to go to the database, fetch the values from the tables and do the authentication. For which you should get hold of DAO authentication provider. I got hold of it. Now, as I have told you, through the user details only, you have to give the information of the user. The default implementation of user details was, it was connecting from the, it was collecting the information from application.properties. And I had hard coded and given the value for default, user details, that please take this and do the authentication. Right now, I have told I want to do the authentication using the database part. And I have to set the user details here also. And I have to inform, I'll say here DAO provider, DAO provider. I'll say here dot set. See here user details service. Set the user details service. That means where is the code which is available, which will fetch the details from the database, and what all things you have to implement. All this you have to inform here. You have to give the implementation of user details service. You have to give the implementation of user details service here. Everyone in the class? I would like to implement this. I would like to create a field of this variable, guys. And if you want, you can write here also. But what I'm going to do here is, I'll go here and say auto wide. If I just say auto wide and keep it quiet till here itself, then it will take the default implementation of user detail service. The default implementation of user detail service which is available with the Spring framework is, it will fetch the information from the application.properties for the verification. I don't want that to happen here. I have explicitly told DAO, and inside this DAO I'm setting this information from where it has to connect, and that I am auto wiring. But right now I have not created any class which is implementing this. If I have not created any class which is implementing this, in that case, what is happening, my dear friends? In that case, it is using the default. Are you all focusing here? Now I'll go to my service layer. I don't have any service layer. I'll go and create one service layer. I'll say dot service. I'll create one class here. Whatever is the name of the class you want, you can give. I'll give it as my user details service. Okay. And at the top, I will say here service. Now, if I just say service, it will not. I have to go here and say implements user details service. Now, if I implemented user details service like this, my dear friends, will it inject the default user detail class or my user detail class which I have created? What will be injected here? The one which we have created, right? All of you. And it is asking us to give the return type, and this is a predefined method, guys. Did I hard coded this? It is coming from user details. That means this is how we have to implement this. I'll go and first auto wire the repository layer here. I'll say here I user repo. Okay, user repo type repository. I will auto wire here. I'll say here auto void. This is being done. I'll go back here. I will say repository dot find by name. I'll pass the username here. I'll pass the username, which I'm going to pass it here. Okay. Username I'm going to pass here. And the details which I'm getting here is the user's object. The return type here is user's object, which is coming from the database. This is because of our part. Done, everyone? Suppose if the users are not there, I will say here if in case users is equal to null. That means by whatever name I'm passing, if there is no user coming up, if it is a null object, then I will throw an exception. I'll say here throw new user not found exception, which is by default giving here. I would like to throw this exception. I would like to throw this exception if it is null. Okay. Whatever message, if you want, you can pass it here. Maybe I will just pass the message here. One message string type of message. I'll say here user not found 404 or whatever you want. You can just pass it. I would like to save this. Done. If it is found, if it is null, whatever end user name you are passing here, if it is not there, you'll throw an exception. That's great. But if it is there, what to do? You can see here this return type of this method. Did I write or it is default return type which is coming from user detail service, guys? Did I hard code this return type? Can I directly say here return new users, or can I say return users object which is coming from the database? It's creating one error here. It is creating one error here that look, you cannot give like this. Add cast to user details. That means give the return type which is of what type, guys? User details type, not of users type directly. Everyone in the class, are you all there? Yes, no, maybe. Now I'll go back and write a class which is implementing user details. If I have to open this, right click, open the declaration. It is an interface. I have to write a class which is implementing this. See here, which is fetching get password, get username, is account expired. So many things it is taking. The method which is there inside this interface. So I will create a object which is implementing this user details. I'll go back and create one object. I'll go back and create one object here. Whatever is the object name, good recommended is to give the name as user principal. You can give some other name also, guys, but it shows that it is representing the user information. That's the meaning of it. And here I'll implement which interface? I have to implement the interface which is there in the return type, which is user details. I would like to take this. I would like to go back and implement this interface. I'll import, and then I have to add the unimplemented methods there. Component you can write, or you can write service, anything is fine. Now I'll go back here and I will say here new user principal is the class name I have created, right? User principal class, and I will pass this users there. I'll pass this users there. And I don't have any constructor which is accepting this. So what I'm going to do here is I'll say here private users type of user. Okay. I will create one constructor here. I'll say public user principal. Why it is my part of creation of this constructor? Because I'm going to accept user types of user here. I would like to accept here, and I will say this dot user equals to user. Guys, kindly see here, everyone in the class, please. If username is there, it will fetch here. If it is not there by chance, I'm throwing the exception. If it is available, then this user I'm adding inside user principal, which is implementing the return type which is needed here, which is user details. Now I'm passing this to the user principal object. I'll go to my user principal object. I am collecting inside this variable. The user object is available inside. Excuse me. The remaining part which is there that I would not like to implement, get password is there. Very simple. I'll go back here and I will just write the code which is responsible and relevant here. Okay. I will say here user dot get the password. This is coming from the database, guys. And here I will say user dot get the name. I have got the name. And now it is asking to grant the authority. It is asking me to give the collection of what and all, which authority this particular user has, that authority to grant. I'll hard code it. I'll say here collections dot singleton. I'll say a new simple granted authority. Implementation of this it has to give. I'll say simple granted authority. And I would like to give this as a user role. Okay. I would like to give this as a user role. It is done. I would like to go back here. I am returning this. Now this implementation, whatever implementation is there, I would like to go back. I have added here and that I have set here. No password encoders. I'll go back here and say dot provider dot. The password encoders I have to set. I'll say set password encoder is there. Right now, I'm not using any password encoder. Since I'm not using any password encoder, I would like to just go and say here dot again dot set password. Right now, I'll not. In upcoming applications, I will implement this password encoder. Right now, I don't want to use this password encoder, for which I'll say here no op. I'm not opting any password encoder. That's the meaning of this encoder. No encoders got get instance. Okay. It's not recommended to store something without any password, but I have told here don't use any of these things. I have implemented this. Now guys, just to summarize what I have done so far, everyone kindly please listen. First of all, what behavior I have disturbed here? Anyone has any issues? Which all default behaviors I have disturbed here? I have disturbed the form. I have disturbed the CSRF. I have made it stateless. Anyone has any issues in this part of the code? Which all default configurations of Spring Security I have disturbed here? Anyone has any issues? Later, by disturbing the user details, I had enabled that, look, this time don't take the details which are there in the application.properties. Enable these two users for the authentication. Great. After which I now wanted to enable the authentication for hard-coded values. I wanted the authentication to be considered by taking the values from the database, for which I got hold of DAO authentication provider. And in the DAO authentication provider, I have told, look, I will give the implementation of user details. Take this user details information for the authentication. That user details information I have implemented here. By taking the username, I'm going to the database. I'm just fetching that record. If it is there, I'm returning that user details. If it is not there, I'm returning user not found exception. The way I'm returning the user details, I have implemented user details interface, and I have told he is an user by taking the password, by taking the username. Okay, now it will fetch the details from the database. All good so far? Yes, no, maybe, my dear friends. Everyone, are you all there? You're not there, you are there, some response. Others also in the class, not the common response. Everyone in the class. No issues. I have to go back and have my own users also, guys, to store the data about the users. I want to first store the data into my user. Only then I want it to add. But right now, I would like to run this application just to create a new table. I would like to go and run. Suresh, just to I have repeated 3 times. You have not listened, is what I feel. I'll repeat. If you are understanding now, if I repeat, that means you have not listened. That's the configuration. Please hear. I have to create my user detail service, which is implementing this interface. This information I had to give to DAO authentication provider. Till here, okay? No problem. And I'm fetching from the database. If it is there, it is there. If not, since you're implementing the user details interface, this method is there. No, it is coming from the user details interface. I had not hard coded this method's signature. The default return type is user details. After fetching the details from the database, directly this user, the information which is coming from the database, you cannot give it. You cannot pass it because the return type is different here. So this particular user information which I am fetching from the database, I have to give by implementing this interface, for which I have created my class. I have implemented this interface, and inside this I have created one constructor which will take the user details. You can give any class name you want. You can give your girlfriend name here, not a problem, but recommended name I have given here. It is representing user. That's the meaning I have given with this user. No name. You can give any other name also. It should not be a matter of concern. And now this is implementing user details interface, which has some predefined methods. And I have got the user information, right? I have fetched the password. I have fetched the get name here. And that name I am implementing this. And that is what I'm returning here. Fine. That's the reason I had to create this, because it was expecting me to give the implementation of this. If it was not there, I would have written directly users only. I had no choice to give my own return type. So only I had to create this separately, which is implementing this interface. And remember, guys, all these configuration parts is a one-time thing. Okay. First of all, let me run this application, guys, to create one table there. Since data JP is there, by default, one table will be created. Oops. Annotation entity problem is there. All right. Hikari CB auto commit is there. Hmm. Okay. I'll do one thing. I'll go back to my, what is there in the entity, guys? Users. Oh, sorry, guys. Here I am not able to give this ID. My bad. I'll go back here, right click, run as. Consider defining users in your configuration. Action failed to start. Application, evaluation, rerun, your debug enabled. Okay. Somewhere, some other users is getting implemented. That's the meaning of it. Hmm. Okay. I'll go back to my user details. I hope it is coming from my entity only. This is coming from entity only, right? Yep. It is also coming from the entity. I'll go back here. Is it coming from the entity? Yes, it is coming from the entity here also. It is coming from the entity here also. So it should not create any problem. I'll do one thing. I'll go back in the database. What is the database we are working with, guys? Which database we are working with right now? It is finishers. Oh, not Alien DB. We are working with finishers. Do you have any users in the finishers? Already one table is there, guys. name and password. One table is already there here, which got created, I guess, right now. Name is there, password is there, and okay. Hmm. I'll do. We can do that, Saiji. I'll go back here. I'll go back to my what is say users. Okay. I'll say user. Now I would like to run my application, guys. Right click, run as the application. 0 parameter 0 of constructor in com dot is required a bean of which is not found. But that's fine. I would like to go and check here whether the table is getting created or not. I would like to go back to my database. I would like to refresh this. So we do have a table here. Yes, we do have a table. And I would like to add some details here. How to perform the insertion operation, guys? Hmm. I would like to add some data. I will see here. Insert into what is the table name? User. And I would like to specify the name of the column. Name, comma, password, followed by values. And I would like to add some values. I will add the value here as Rohan. And the password, I'll add it as 123. It is added. I will add here as Rohit. Only one I'll add. I have added. I'll add two. I'll say Ramesh. Ramesh is the user. Some three users are already there in the database. If I have to go back to the users, I'll go back to my users. I will fetch something here which I would like to implement. User, right? Yes. Some records are already there here. Are you all able to see these records? Everyone in the class? Yes, no, maybe, guys. All of you. Any issues there in that part? No issue, right? Not at all. Hmm. Great. I'll go back to my application. I would like to just check everything is fine. All right. I'll say users. It is an entity only. And I user repo. It is repository only. Alien controller. Right now we don't have anything, but yeah, it's there. And okay. I would like to go back here. Auto wiring this. My user detail service. And the user principal. If you want, you can have, or else I'll do one thing. I'll not do this because it is telling that user bin is required. If I have only one parameterized constructor, guys, if I have only one parameterized constructor, in that case, my Spring, if I'm asking create the bean of this, Spring is needed this object which is not there. That is the reason I'm getting this error. So I have not done that, because if I write service or component here, I'm asking my Spring to create the bean of it. And if Spring is creating a bean of this, Spring needed this object and it was not there with the Spring framework. And that is the reason my Spring framework was shouting at me that I could not able to create the object of this because I don't have user object. That's the reason. Have you all understood why we used to get this error? Yes, no, maybe. Anyway, this object I myself is creating here. So you need not to ask Spring to create the object. So I was asking my Spring to create the object of it. And Spring was creating the object and we had only one constructor. And that constructor expecting you to pass user information. And if I write service or component here, I'm asking my Spring framework to create the instance of user principal. How to create the instance? My Spring was confused. Now the problem will be resolved. I would like to go back here, run this application. The application has no issues now. I'll go to Postman tool, guys. If I give Rohan and Telescope 2, we don't have any records by this name. See, I'm not getting this, unauthorized. If I say Rohan and Telescope 1, 2, 3. Oops, again it is not able to take this. I have to go back. Oh, is it taking that way? Yes, exact password. Let me check what all passwords we have there. Okay, Rohan Telescope 1, 2, 3, Ramesh Telescope 2, and Rohit Telescope 1. I'll go back to my Postman tool. I will say here Rohit Telescope 1. See, I'm getting this. I will say here Ramesh Telescope 2. I'm getting this. Now, can multiple users access our application, guys? Can multiple users access our application? Now, same user, can it access multiple resources without giving the username and password? Can it access multiple users? Sorry, multiple resources without giving the username and password? No, because CSRF token I have disabled. Session also I have disabled. I have made the application stateless. Correct? Even if you go here to the browser, you will get the pop-up to enter the username and password. Okay. If I have to go to the browser, I'll go back here. If I refresh this, I'm getting because of what do you say? Session which is stored in the cookies. I would like to just go back here and say get info. It's giving this info because right now I've already logged in, right? The session is getting stored here. That is the reason. I will open the new incognito mode. I'll stop the application. Then if you check, it will not be available. You will get a pop-up to enter the details. Now the next target which we have to achieve here, guys. Right now, all the resources which are there, even for every resource, you have to give the username and password. The next target here is few resources. I want everyone to access. Whether they are my users or not doesn't matter. Anyone and everyone can access few of the resources. And few resources, they should be accessed by only few individuals whose information is there in the database, who can enter the username and password. So few resources can be accessed by everyone and few resources can be accessed by only few people. Right now, whatever we have developed the application, guys, I have made it stateless. To access any resource, you have to enter the username and password. Without username and password, you cannot access any resources is what I have told. Yes or no, everyone? All of you present. But I want few resources to be accessed by everyone and few resources to be accessed by few people, only few successfully able to log in. And after we achieve this, the next step would be to understand about how to generate JSON Web Token, JWT. And first step is we have to see about JWT, token generation part. Lot of coding we have to do here. The second part, how to verify this JWT token. Token generation, token verification, both we have to see. And then we will see about OAuth. Here only we shall also see how to store the password in the database with some encryption, and how to fetch that, and how to decrypt it and do the verification. All of these things also we will be seeing it. So tomorrow's and day after tomorrow's class will be based on these two topics. Okay, OAuth 2 also I would like to discuss. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow's class will be based on these discussions, guys. So thank you for being with me in today's class. It was again one part. You have to understand these configurations are also always one time setup. You'll not be doing day in and out. It is not about how to create an API. These classes and all, the flow and the process, if you could be able to understand, that is more than sufficient. You need not to know every line of code, and you cannot recall also. You should know what is the process you have to follow, and by following this, whenever you want, you can implement. It is a one time setup. I'll say here security class 2 boardwalk. I'll go back to my D drive. Data and security project number 2. Tomorrow's class, I will start JWT also, guys. After this is done, after this I have enabled, I will teach you how to store the password in an encrypted way. And then by implementing bcrypt algorithm, and after implementing the bcrypt algorithm part, I will introduce the JWT in tomorrow's class. And day after tomorrow's class, we will see the generation, verification, and OAuth. Okay. I would like to just go back here. Data Spring Security project number 2. So guys, tomorrow's and after tomorrow's class are very crucial. And then multi-DB configuration I will do. Redis server also, if time permits, I will do. And next Monday, we are starting with microservices. Monday's class, we are going to start with microservices. That we have shared in yesterday's class also. It is also there in the dashboard, Saiji. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. Let's meet tomorrow at 7 a.m. and continue the discussion on the topics which I have listed here. Thank you, everyone, for being with me in today's class. Thank you all.